Hello, welcome to the data channel and you're watching a bootcamp for data professionals for Python. And as part of this video in this playlist, we will be explaining how to install Jupyter Notebook. And there are two ways of installing it. One is using it comes as a package in Anaconda when you install Anaconda, so it comes as a package along with that. And without that, also you can install Jupyter Notebook using Python PIP, PIP libraries, and you can still host uh, like a Jupyter notebook in your machine, right? And before proceeding, if you are new to this channel, we would recommend you to please subscribe and also press bell button for instant notifications. So let's get started. So what you can expect in this particular video is install Jupyter Notebook using pip and install Jupyter Notebook using Anaconda and launch Jupyter Notebook and see basic operations in that. So in the previous video, we have already seen how to install Python and also we have seen installation of couple of IDEs, right? In previous video, we have already seen PyCharm, how to install that. In the future videos, we will see how to install Visual Studio or Visual Code for that matter, right? And in this particular video, we will concentrate on installing Jupyter Notebook and how to start practicing Python in the Jupyter Notebook workspace, right? Or the Python virtual workspace. And so, what is a workspace and what is the important of that? Or you can call it as a virtual environment as well. So you can check in the previous videos again what is a virtual environment. So if you don't have any virtual environment created, so it will be installed globally. So now we are installing this particular package globally because we have not entered into any virtual environment, right? So it will take a couple of minutes to complete the installation of Jupyter Notebook. You can really literally see here these are the packages that comes along with that whatever you are installing Jupyter Notebook. So these are all the libraries are coming as part of that. So once the installation is completed, you can just type Jupyter, Jupyter, and then Notebook and press enter. Because we have already installed Jupyter now, so it is initiating the Jupyter now, and it will host. It will open a new browser basically, right? So this will be the new browser where it is hosting like localhost, right? And in this localhost, your Jupyter notebook will be launched, and as you can see, it has it has all the folders that is as part of this, and you can see which are the like what are the kernels, language services that is currently running, right? And you can just navigate through this Jupyter notebook and like Jupyter menu. So you can click here and you can just take a new notebook here. So once you take a new notebook, it will come with the untitled .ipnb. So ipnb is nothing but you need to select a by default. You can select a kernel, whatever you get here. And so this is one notebook, right? That means it is a one program, what we can say, and by default it will be untitled. So I'll just rename it as my first program. And so as you know, Python will be .py and the notebook extension will be ipynb, right? And I'm just renaming that, and I can just similarly how we did in command prompt, we will be able to do the same thing here. So like whatever the syntax of Python will be there, it will be executing. So what we will do is the data channel, right? So we can just make hello the data channel, right? And once we do the write a code, we can just click on this, which will execute and it will show the result. And similarly, we can create this is one cell, right? So similarly, you can create multiple cells. You can just click on plus, so it will create multiple cells, and you can have cut also, like you can just cut it and then paste it in a new cell basically, right? And you can just have a different visualization. By default it is code visualization. If you have any markdown code written, so you can just switch that, and you can just play around these options. You can just save this notebook, right? And you can download this notebook, and you can even edit. And when you edit, like, there are a lot of options, as you can see: cut, copy, paste cell, delete cell, etc. And in view also, you can just play around all of these options, and to get familiarized with that, right? But basic operation is creating a cell, writing a code, and then once you write it, so here is a run option, right? And here is a stop option. If it is running and if you want to stop it or interrupt it, you can interrupt that kernel. So that's about running a Jupyter notebook, right? And after we installed that Jupyter notebook in the command prompt, so once the installation was completed, we were able to successfully launch the local host, and this local host is giving me the Jupyter interface in one of my browser. In the default browser, it will automatically host the default browser. So once we kind of execute this particular command, so as you can see, Jupyter notebook, right? So we have once the Jupyter installation is completed, we just typed this one, and it has opened this Jupyter notebook. And as and when you do the changes, you can see that it is like a log, right? It is logging all the details here, right? And it also mentioned that it has hosted a browser and local host and other details here. So we have already seen how to install the Jupyter Notebook using the command prompt in Python, right? And now we will quickly see how to there is another way also to include to install the Jupyter Notebook. So this is quite simple because we need not work on the command line interface here. If you are not familiar with the command line interface, so you can just install after installing the Python successfully. You can directly go to Google and click on download Jupyter Anaconda. So and you can see this options here, right? So basically in the Anaconda website, whatever you see here, right? So you can just click on that. So here you can click on free download option. So once you give your email ID here, so you will get the email link to download. You can go and check your email inbox, and you would have already received a email notification to download that particular like you will get a download link for Anaconda. So once you go and click that download link from your mailbox, it will open something like this, right? And then it will show here there are multiple options, right? So there is a Windows, Mac, and Linux, and if you want to download Python and other options, there are a couple of options. But I just want to click here because I'm using a Windows machine. It has given me already. It has chosen the operating system and given. And once I click that, my download has already started, and it is around 904 MB. So it will take a couple of minutes. Once the download is completed, you can like go to downloads and then double click on that .exe file that is already downloaded. And after that, you will get this welcome screen, and you can just click on next, and you can just read the agreements and then click on I agree. And you can install it for all the users in the machine, or you can use to choose only for yourself. And it will also show you the space required and the current space. It says 5 GB is required for this. And you can choose to have add Anaconda path. It is not recommended, as they say. And if so that's why that's the reason I would not recommend you to click on that. And clear the package cache upon completion. So recommended recovers some space without harming functionality, so we can choose to select that. And post that, as you can see, the installation is started now, and you can click on show detail and see what exactly the libraries it is getting installed as part of that, and other details, and what are the things that it is downloading from the internet. So as you can see now the installation has been completed successfully, and you can just click on next, and it shows what is the version of Anaconda that has been installed, and it also says everything you love about Anaconda, and available and fully loaded Jupyter Notebook also is installed along with that. So and further no steps, no setup is required, so you can get started, right? So just click on next, and if you want to get started with, if you want to launch the Anaconda Navigator, so you can just launch that and getting started with Anaconda. So we will launch the Anaconda Navigator and see how exactly it looks like. So if you don't want to launch that, and if you want to launch anytime after that, right, you can just search here Anaconda Navigator. So you'll be able to list Anaconda Navigator, and you can open that from here. So as you can see here, this is Anaconda Navigator, how exactly it looks like. And Anaconda Navigator, it's not only for Jupyter. You can see there are like, you can have PyCharm, you can have like PowerShell, you can have Jupyter Notebook, and there are a lot of other extra plugins kind of things that you can have. I can install that. Few comes by default. You can see here, right? The Anaconda Cloud Notebook, it comes by default. You can just click on launch. So Jupyter also come by default. You can click on launch. Okay, wherever it is installed, so that means it is not included in the installation. You need to manually install that, right? And so there is RStudio, PyCharm Professional, but now we want to launch the Jupyter Lab or Jupyter Notebook, right? So this is a Jupyter Notebook. I'll just click on launch. So previously, what we have seen is we were doing this Jupyter installation using the Python PIP library. So it is exactly same, but instead of PIP library, here we have installed Anaconda Notebook, and via Anaconda Notebook, Anaconda Navigator, we are launching the Jupyter Notebook. So it is one and the same. But the first option, if you want to choose a simpler option, I think the first option is very simple because it doesn't take much of a time for the installation also. But if you want to install Anaconda Navigator, make sure you will have some like 25-30 minutes for the installation, because it is a 5 GB of installation, and as you have already seen, it comes with a lot of applications, pre-built applications, right? And it is quite heavy. And Anaconda Navigator as a or Anaconda as a package is pretty heavy, so it takes time for installation. The first option, what we have did using pip installation for the Py for Jupyter Notebook was quite simple, right? But anyway, like if you want to do it via Anaconda Navigator, this is option. Download the Anaconda. We have downloaded the like Anaconda, and we have hosted the Anaconda Navigator. And from here, you are clicking on Jupyter Notebook. So it is exactly creating local host like previously we did, right? So here also we can just I'll just take a desktop, and in the desktop I'll create a new folder, or I have option to create a folder. So I can just give programs, and in this folder I can just create a new file, right? So once you host the particular file, it'll be as untitled. So I'll just take sum of two numbers, right? And I'll just rename it. So here I can just start writing any program, right? Here I write a equal to 10, b equal to 30, and I will print a plus b, right? So once I write a program, I can just click on run here, right? It will execute and show 40. And there are a lot of shortcuts when it comes to like Jupyter Notebook. You can just see here like where like if you want to select all cell, if you want to cut cell, there is a shortcut. So you can just play around all of these shortcuts, and when you want to run, so you can interrupt a kernel, restart a kernel whenever there is a memory leak, or like if the program is stuck, you can restart that. So you can choose a theme, like if you want to switch to dark theme, you can just quickly switch to dark theme, right? And you can increase the font size, right? So and a lot of other options, you can just play around with those options. But end of the day, it is whenever you create a notebook, whenever you kind of create a notebook, right? So you'll be able to see that in the desktop. So this is a desktop. I have so this programs folder is created in the desktop, and in the desktop when you open it, so this dot in ipynb, right? It is a notebook file. So it is been created. So it is the same file that we just created using the that local host, right? So this local host, using this local host we created. This is a Jupyter, whatever we have created the file here, right? So, like for the Jupyter installation or the Jupyter, like Jupyter interface, what where we have started working in Python. So we have seen two ways of installing it. The first way, just a quick recap, is the first way was using the command prompt like pip install Python pip install. So and it immediately it launches the Jupyter notebook. That is very quite simple. But if you want to go via installation of Anaconda, so once you install the Anaconda, you will have Anaconda Navigator coming in, and you have to launch it from here. Then it will host the same thing. It is one and the same, if you really see, right? And hope installation of Jupyter Notebook via two of these options was useful. And thanks for watching.